Okay, so now that I have my sketch done, I've placed my words, I am ready to paint. Now, those of you who are in my class can absolutely check out paints. And so this, I mean, I've used this is my personal set, but I have sets like this where it's, these are all dried, but it's just pans of paint, and it also comes with swatches so you know what color each of them are. So if you want to check this out, you can. But then I also have these kits where you can fill with your own. So I do have paints available to check out, like tubes. So those are a little bit different than the dried stuff. It does eventually dry like this, but it reactivates. Again, this is my own personal set. I wanted to vet everything that we had in the classroom, and so I purchased some stuff and for myself, and then purchased it for the classroom. So you can absolutely check out any of these paints from either this entire set, or you can check out a plastic travel palette, and it's got actually a lot more space for mixing paints, and then individual colors as well, so you don't have to stick with just these colors. So I am going to be using a gray that I mixed from this set, and then also some other stuff. I have different paints that I use as well. And then I also went through and I mixed everything already, so I already know what colors I'm going to use. And so these are going to be, this is just a little tester strip of what I am going to use. And then I have two different size brushes. I could not tell you what size they are, but these you can also check out. I think it's these exact same brushes. So you can use everything that I'm using here, with the exception of some of the colors that I mixed are from a different set. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bigger brush, and I'm going to get the frame a little bit, just get it really wet, completely wet. And then you just kind of shake it in the water a little bit, not too vigorously. And then I have a piece of paper towel to just kind of like dab off excess. Okay. So if you see me go out of frame, that's what I'm doing. And then let me turn on the light. There we go. And then I am just going to take some gray from this palette back here and paint in the light. Okay, now I have this pretty watered down, so it's going to be a really light gray, and this will dry even lighter. So I don't want this to overpower the page. What I'm going to have be a little bit more of the focal point is the light and the person. Okay. Just make sure that there's a bunch of water. And again, sometimes I'm doing these shorter strokes when I'm by the lines, and then when I'm in the middle, I'm doing larger ones because I don't have to be as careful. You can drag some of that paint down as well, and you can actually just cover over this. I'm going to go over it with other colors once it's dry. So if you plan on using darker colors, you can always paint over the lighter stuff. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to my smaller brush for the details with the light. Okay. Actually, no, not yet. I'm going to take that gray and just fill in this inside. Okay. If you get it on the lights, that's okay, but you know what? Not everything's going to be perfect. Watercolor is a messy medium, and you'll learn to go with it. Okay. You want to do this first. Whatever you want to be the lightest colors, try to do those first. But know that you are going to have to wait for it to dry before you put anything else on that area. So that's why I want to do this before I focus on the character at all. That way this has a chance to dry. I just want the background of that to be a little bit light. Little light gray. Okay, now I'm going in with my smaller brush, and I'm going to start with this character's hair, just because it's up top and I can work on some other mid zones, like different pieces throughout her. So I'm just going to go in with my black, try to go along those curls. Again, this is a pretty watered down version of the paint. I will end up doing more than one layer just to kind of give it some texture, but this is the base layer to kind of have that background of black because her hair is black. And again, I've already mixed all of my colors, so I know exactly what I'm going to use. And it's a very helpful process. And this is also going to be her hair. Grab a little more for over here. Okay. You see how that's quite a bit darker? It's actually, oops, I didn't realize it's not even that in frame. That part right there is quite a bit darker, and that's because there's a lot more water. And so that's gonna take longer to dry. So I dabbed off my brush and I'm just kind of picking that up a little bit, okay? So let me move a few things around a little so it can be more in frame. There we go. So sorry about that, guys. All right, so now I don't wanna do the shirt yet because if it touches that, it's all gonna bleed together. So I'm actually going to do the pants next. Okay, so again, I'm gonna wet my brush a little bit, come over and get a light blue for jeans. And there we go. Okay, it's okay if the color is not exactly even. It's totally fine. It just gives a little bit more of texture. And then I'm going to actually do her hands. So I'm gonna go in with the skin tone I have mixed up and do her hands. And I do want these to be kind of the same tone, so what I'm going to do is make sure that I drop in about as much paint on each hand to kind of like level them out, okay? So we've got that. Now I can go through, this over here is fairly dry, so I'm going to take that same black that I have mixed up for the hair, and I'm going to outline this. So it's not a pure black, it's not super dark. I'm just going to go through, add that in. If you wanted it to be like a really, really dark black, you could just add more paint to your water. Make it darker. Do a couple of layers. Okay. And we'll probably do a second layer a little bit later. Okay. All right. And this here, you don't actually need to do anything with the crosswalk if you don't want to, just because, hey, they're white, so you can just let it be. And I'm gonna go with that black again and kind of do this push button. Okay, but I don't want the button itself to be black, so I'm gonna go around that. Okay, and I do want it to be a little bit darker, so I'm gonna add some more pigment in here. You can just drop that right in. And I'll go through and do the same over here. Got a lot of pigment on my brush right now. And if you just kind of tap, it'll release and then like bubble out, unless there's like pools of water like there are right here. Then you need to work it around a little bit. There we go. All right. So now it looks like the hair slightly touches, pretty dry. So I'm gonna go through with my skin tone and do the face and the neck, okay? And it's okay if there are some white spots, if that's the style that you want. I'm okay with it for mine. Okay. I'm just gonna kind of pick some of that up, and I will do another layer in a little bit to kind of darken that up and actually make it a little more even. I'm just gonna drop in some paint around, okay? And the more that I'm seeing this actually dry out, I'm not loving it. So I'm actually gonna make it a little bit darker to skin tone by adding in a little more black into my mixed color. I'm just gonna drop that in there. Oh, that's better. Kind of mix it around a little bit. Okay. Drop it into the hands too. They're a little bit wet still. All right. And so you're just gonna keep painting. Keep doing this until everything's done in that you want. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, add a few more details, and then do some layers, and then you guys will be able to see what the finished product is like.